Welcome to Monday Mindset Call. Today is September 9th. It's 9/9. I always like it when numbers repeat. We did not meet last week. We had end of the month, we had beginning of the month, and did we have, I didn't give y'all homework last time we met, right? Because I think it was just me and Cindy. I think it, and Debbie was on too, and one other person was on, but there was a storm. Last time we met felt like a really long time ago, but I don't remember giving y'all homework. So we're gonna use the full 30 minutes tonight to talk about this book. Has anybody read, you've read it? Or we're reading it right now, huh, Deborah? Um, this book is, it's my new favorite book, and I think it's super applicable to our Libri business. So I want to read to you guys a little bit and then I want to have a little discussion. So you don't need to have this book to benefit from tonight's discussion. And the reason I wanted to do this is there was a quote in here that I was like, oh my gosh, this just is changing the whole way I think about how I approach my business and how I lead and how I teach y'all to run your businesses too. So one of the quotes, it said it was about goal setting, right? In the beginning of the month, we're always like, okay, let's set goals. Let's look at our goals. What are our goals? It says winners and losers have the same goals. This book says that. Winners and losers have the same goals. So it doesn't actually matter what goals you set, it matters what habits you have. It matters what actions you take. So the goal is to have X amount of sales, but what are we doing to get there? The goal is to have 5 new customers, but what do our habits look like to meet new people? Our goal is to sponsor, but what does our environment look like and what are we practicing, right? So I'm going to read to you guys a little bit. If you want to take notes, feel free, or if you want to just listen, and then we're gonna see how we can directly apply this to how we want to run our business. Okay? Any questions?
Page number?
So I'm going to read the chapter summaries and I'll shout out the page number before I read the
Oh,
chapter summary. So this is chapter summary 1, it's page 28. And at the end of this chapter is called The Surprising Power of Atomic Habits. And here's just a summary of the chapter. It says habits are compound interest of self-improvement. Getting 1% better every day counts for a lot in the long run. Habits are a double-edged sword. They can work for you or against you, which is why understanding the details is essential. Small changes often appear to make no difference until you cross a critical threshold. The most important outcomes, or excuse me, the most powerful outcomes of any compounding process are delayed. You need to be patient. I'm going to show you a picture of this too. An atomic habit is a little habit that is part of a larger system. Just as atoms are the building blocks of molecules, atomic habits are the building blocks of remarkable results. If you want better results, then forget about setting goals. Focus on your system instead. You do not rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. Isn't that crazy? I'm like, forget about setting goals. So this is the picture that he's talking about. So this middle line here, the straight line, that's kind of how we assume our progress is going to be. But when you set new habits, your progress actually, look, it kind of like dips for a little bit. And then this is that critical threshold he's talking about where you get above where you thought you were going to be. So I'm telling y'all, my mind is blown every day I read this book. So, any questions about anything I said, or did anything like stick out to you like it did for me? The valley of disappointment. So this is where people start and they're like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm reaching out to new customers, not getting a sale, not getting a sponsor. I am not doing anything right. I'm not getting successful. And then this is the valley of despair. This is where people give up and they don't stick with their new habit. They don't stick with their networking group. They don't stick with their X amount of calls a day. They don't stick with asking for no. But this is that critical threshold he's talking about where you, if you stick with your system, your new system, you'll break that critical threshold, he kept calling it. Questions? Comments? Okay.
I have a comment.
Yeah.
That that valley that you just mentioned, I mean, how many days is that?
I don't think that's a good question. I don't think it mentions days. It says we often expect progress to be linear, that straight line. At the very least, we hope it to come quickly. In reality, the results of our efforts are often delayed. It is not until months or years later that we realize the true value of the previous work that we have done. So, months to years.
Okay.
But we're not trying to, change everything in a day. We're trying to change the system. We're trying to change the habits, the little teeny tiny things. And I think the first step is to become aware of what our habits are, like what's keeping us here. But yeah, that valley of disappointment, sorry, it doesn't say despair. It says disappointment, same thing. It says, however, this work was not wasted. It was simply being stored. So it's like you're adding drops to the bucket, drops to the bucket, drops to the bucket, and finally you kick over to the other side. It is not until much later that the full value of previous effort is revealed. Great question. Debbie, did you want to say something too? I thought I saw you reach.
I was just going to say something about that valley too, because that's so easy to stay in there. It's
I
almost
know.
like a marble going up, 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 and then guess what? You go backwards a little bit, and then you go
I
up
know.
again. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm in there right now. Had a great month last month, but it's like, okay, I just keep doing what I'm doing. If I do too many habits at once to try to change or adjust, it becomes very overwhelming, and that would keep you totally in that disappointment
Right.
section. Yeah.
Right, right. So he says problem number one, winners and losers have the same goals. So you and me and somebody else, we have the same goal. Right now I find myself in a comparison trap with some of my other leader friends who have already earned the trip and I haven't, right? And it's like we have the same goal, but why am I here and they're there? Problem number two, achieving a goal is only a momentary change. So it's really not even about achievement, right? The achievement is changing your habits. Problem number three, goals restrict your happiness. So the assumption behind a goal is once I reach my goal, I'll be happy. But the problem with a goals first mentality is that you're continually putting happiness off until you reach your goal. Problem number four is that goals are at odds with long-term progress. So if you have a goal-oriented mindset, you can have a yo-yo effect, which is kind of what you were talking about with that marble. So we're going to switch, we're going to learn about this atomic habits and we're going to see how we can shift. All right, chapter number 2 summary is on page 41. And this chapter is called Your Habits Shape Your Identity and vice versa. There's a quote in this chapter that says, the North Star of habit change is identity change. So you have to change your identity to change your habits and vice versa. Like you cannot become who you want to be without changing your habits. So here's the summary. There are 3 levels of change: outcome change, process change, and then identity change. The most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but who you wish to become. Your identity emerges out of your habits. Every action is a vote for the type of person that you wish to become. Becoming the best version of yourself requires you to continuously edit your beliefs and to upgrade and expand your identity. The real reason habits matter is not because they can get you better results, although they can do that, but because they can change your beliefs about yourself. So, and I loved this little part here. It says, each time you write a page, you are a writer. Each time you practice the violin, you are a musician. Each time you start a workout, you are an athlete. And each time you encourage your employees, you are a leader. So step one, decide the type of person you want to be. I hear a lot of people say, well, I'm not a salesman. Well, I'm not a team builder. I'm not a leader. Well, then why are you setting goals for sales, shows, and sponsoring? Right? So who do you want to be? Decide the type of person you want to be. And then step two is prove it to yourself with small wins. So if you want to be a salesman, then the proof are the sales calls, the one-on-ones, the parties, learning what to say and how to say it. It's a gradual evolution. So step one, decide who you want to be, and then step two, prove it to yourself with small wins. Questions, comments about this chapter? Any like aha moments?
I think I'm having an aha moment, but for me, right at the stage I'm in right now, it's more about my health
Sure.
and
Yeah.
food
Yeah.
or lack thereof.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
so for you, it could be each time you choose your meal, you are healthy. You're a healthy person. Like you decide what you want to become, not that you're not healthy, but where you want to be in your health. Then that each time you take a step towards that, it's a small win, small habits.
So are we continuously changing then
Yep,
our identity?
yep.
Got it.
Yeah, it says the real reason habits matter is not because they can get you better results, although they can do that, but because they can change your beliefs about yourself to upgrade and expand your identity. So we're continuously editing our beliefs in order to upgrade and expand our identity, which is why we're doing these calls, right?
Yeah.
Training our brain.
I think my aha moment's gonna be in a couple weeks. I'm actually going down to Indiana
Hmm.
to do a show with Sierra, who just became a consultant.
That's awesome.
And I'm scared to death, and Debbie knows it.
Yeah, and you can talk about what you're scared of and work through it, right? All of
Right.
it's work throughable.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the person that you're becoming is a leader. I mean, to travel, to host, to co-host a show, that's leadership right there.
Yeah.
So you're becoming a leader. I love that.
My way of learning is hands-on.
Yep, yep. All right, we're halfway through our call and we're about halfway where I wanted to get. So thank you for sharing that. And the next one is chapter 3. The title of this chapter is How to Build Better Habits in 4 Simple Steps. So here we go. We're getting answers, right? The chapter summary is on page 55. And it says, a habit is a behavior that can be repeated enough times to become automatic. A habit is a behavior that has been repeated enough times to become automatic. The ultimate purpose of habits is to solve the problems of life with as little energy and effort as possible. Any habit can be broken down into a feedback loop that involves 4 steps, and the loop is cue, craving, response, and reward. Cue, craving, response, and reward. The 4 laws of behavior change are a simple set of rules that we can use to build better habits. And the 4 laws of this book those are the next 4 sections of the book. So section 1 is to make it obvious. That's the first law, make it obvious. Kind of have to point out what it is, right? Law 2 is to make it attractive. Law 3 is to make it easy, and law 4 is to make it satisfying. So let's look at this feedback loop, because I think if we can understand this feedback loop, we can start to draw some attention to what we're doing. Let me find the picture. It had this really cool story about cats, and I'll summarize it for you, but basically they did this study with cats where they would put the cats in an enclosure with a lever to get to escape, and once they escaped, they got a reward. And they timed the cats over and over and over. They timed the cats, and towards the end of it, the cats got out faster and faster and faster. So if you have a cue and then the craving, so the cat was put in the box, right? The craving was to escape. The lever was the response, and then they were rewarded. And it was this, they built this habit. So at the very beginning, it took the cats like 2 minutes or something like that to get out of the box. And by the end, by like 50 or so attempts, they were getting out in 6 seconds. So they got put in the box, they pushed the lever, they were out, because what they were doing became automatic. So some of the stuff that we do habit-wise, we might not even realize it's a habit. Are you saying good night? Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Sweet dreams.
Sweet dreams.
I'm trying to find, oh, here's the picture. So here's the picture of the habit loop. Cue, craving, response, reward. And it has a couple of examples I'll read to you just so you can kind of visualize it. So here's the cue. Your phone buzzes with a new text message. The craving is that you want to know what the message says. The response is that you grab your phone and read the message. And then the reward is that you satisfied your craving to read the message. Grabbing your phone becomes associated with your phone buzzing. So feedback loop. So now every time your phone buzzes, you're going to want to read what it says. You're going to read what it says, and now it keeps going. Here's another example. You hit a stumbling block while on a project at work. That's the cue. Hit the stumbling block. The craving is that you feel stuck and you want to relieve your situation. So you crave relief. The response is that you pull out your phone and you check your social media. And then the reward is that you satisfied your craving for relief, and now checking social media becomes associated with being stuck at work. Isn't that interesting? I just find all this so fascinating. So there's one more thing I wanted to read you guys. So how you create a good habit, make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, make it satisfying, is the same way that you break a bad habit. You make it invisible. So instead of making it obvious, you make it invisible. Make it attractive becomes make it unattractive. Make it easy becomes make it difficult. And make it satisfying, the inverse is make it unsatisfying. So how that would look for the phone is you don't have your phone on you, right? You make it invisible, or you turn off notifications. If you hit a stumbling block at work, you make that invisible by being around other people that keep you co-working or keep you focused. You can't stop working if there's nobody around you to make it invisible. We can come up with other habits for this. When I quit smoking, I made it invisible in all parts of my life. I stopped hanging out with friends who smoked. I didn't go to gas stations. I literally did not go inside gas stations. I didn't go inside CVS. I didn't go inside HEB because they had a checkout lane. I made it completely invisible. When I quit sugar, I'm currently not quitting sugar, but when I did quit sugar, I didn't go to restaurants at all. For almost a year, I didn't go to restaurants. I didn't go to birthday parties. I didn't go to friends' houses. It was, you make it invisible. Any questions about the feedback loop, the cue, craving, response, reward? And mind you, this is like speed summary of this book. So if this is interesting to you and you don't have this book, highly recommend it, Atomic Habits. All right, the next part I wanted to look at with you is the first law. So the first law is about making it obvious. And we're gonna do a little exercise. So you can do this later for homework, or you can do it along with us and then you won't have any homework. But we're going to make, what does he call it? It's a habit scorecard. So we're gonna make a habit scorecard. And there's a little story in here about pointing and calling Japanese railway. I really like how this author has a story for everything to kind of, you can visualize it. So basically what they discovered is that when you point at something and call it out, you're using your body, you're using your voice, you're using your ears, you're using your eyes, you're making it obvious. So the point of making a habit scorecard is not to judge yourself or not to rake yourself over the coals, but to make it obvious. So what you do is you make a list of your habits. The example says this: wake up, turn off alarm, check my phone, go to the bathroom, weigh myself, take a shower, brush my teeth, floss my teeth, put on deodorant, hang up the towel to dry, get dressed, make a cup of tea, and so on. You just write down all the things that you do without even really thinking about it. They're just habits. And then next to each of those, you're going to write either a plus, a minus, or an equal sign. So the plus sign is a good habit. The minus sign is a negative or bad habit. And then the equal sign is a neutral habit. So wake up, neutral. Turn off alarm, neutral. Check my phone, negative. Go to the bathroom, neutral. Weigh myself, positive. Take a shower, positive. Brush my teeth, positive. Floss my teeth, positive. Put on deodorant, positive. Hang up the towel to dry, equal. Get dressed, equal. Make a cup of tea, positive. It says the marks that you give to a particular habit will depend on your situation and your goals. For someone who is trying to lose weight, eating a bagel with peanut butter every morning might be a bad habit, but for someone who's trying to bulk up and add muscle, the same behavior might be a good habit. It all depends on what you're working towards. So hanging up the towel to dry might be a positive habit for the husbands, or putting on deodorant will be a positive habit for the teenagers, right? It's like depending on where you are and where you want to go, you rate your habits accordingly. I'll give you some of my examples. I wake up, I do not set an alarm. That's a positive habit for me. Setting an alarm causes me stress and it starts my day off in this like stressful situation. So setting an alarm would not be neutral for me. It would be negative. I wake up and I immediately do a meditation with Insight Timer. It's like 2 minutes. I don't even get out of bed before I do that because if I get out of bed, then I forget about it. This book also talks about habit stacking. So if you do any two things at the same time, that might be a positive thing. Like I go live and I wash my face, or I go live and I do my makeup. And that's positive for me because the identity that I want is to be associated as the aloe lady. I want to be the Labri lady. I want people to know Melissa Yoder sells Labri. Melissa Yoder loves and uses Labri. So going live is a positive habit for me. Any questions about the habit scorecard or anything you guys want to talk about with the habit scorecard?
Do you want us to start with waking up?
Sure. Yeah. And if you know what I would even do, I would like what I think I want to do is I kind of want to section it up because what I do at home is different than what I do if I'm on mom duty or if I'm working, you know what I mean? Like your habits at work might look a little different too. But yeah, I think starting with waking up is a really good place to start.
Okay.
Yeah, especially if any of us wake up and start scrolling and don't get out of bed for an hour or two. You know what I mean? Like we want to bring awareness to what we're doing.
Or head outside and go have a cigarette on the patio.
I know. Yep. Been there. Definitely been there. Yeah, when I was a teacher, my day looked like wake up, go outside, smoke. I also took my dog out, so I was like, oh, I'm doing something positive. Came back inside, makeup wipe to take the makeup off from the day before, and then I'd put more makeup on. Then I'd leave my house, smoke another cigarette on the way to work. No breakfast. There was no breakfast. Coffee, definitely coffee. Um, and I lived a very high stress lifestyle, and looking back on those habits, it's really powerful to become aware of what we're doing and then to make these habits a little bit better of a flow here.
So you're proof that it works. No,
Right, I'm
You're
proof
proof.
that it works. Here's another really powerful thing we can do. So if anybody wants, bonus homework. So the first homework is to make your habit scorecard. Just write it all down, plus, minus, or equal sign. This other part says how to do your new habits. So if there's any new habits that you want to implement, a really good way to do it, let me find that page, is to give it a time and a location. So it says the first law of behavior change is to make it obvious. The two most common cues are time and location. Creating an implementation intention is a strategy that you can use to pair a new habit with a specific time and location. So he says something in here about how like you can't just remove a bad habit. You have to replace it. So, or you have to build on it and let the new one kind of take over it over time. So if you want to quit smoking, or if you want to start eating breakfast, or if you want to stop scrolling, you have to decide what the new behavior is and then attach a time and a location to that new behavior. The formula is this: I will behavior at time in location. Habit stacking is a strategy that you can use to pair a new habit with a current habit. And the habit stacking formula, if you want to stack them, is after I behavior, I will new behavior. So for example, let me find an example in here. For example, if you want to start meditating, it says, after I pour my cup of coffee each morning, I will meditate for 1 minute. Exercise. After I take off my work shoes, I will immediately change into my workout clothes. Gratitude. After I sit down to dinner, I will say one thing that I'm grateful for that happened that day. Marriage. After I get into bed at night, I will give my partner a kiss. Safety. After I put on my running shoes, I will text a friend or family member where I am running and how long it will take. So it's bonus homework for sure. Do your habit scorecard, and then if there's any habits in there that you're like, I want to add this or I want to remove that, make sure you attach a time and location to your new habit. This is how much we covered. And this is how much there is left in the book. So don't feel like you have to learn all of this at once. I've been reading this book the last week and it's been super impactful for me and I couldn't wait to share with you guys. Thank you for coming to my Atomic Habits call tonight. Any questions before we hop off for the night?
Nope, except Melissa, I can chime in and say that this system really, really works. And the most poignant part about it is choosing what the habit is that you want to add or the habit that you want to remove, and the time and the location. Like adding a vitamin for me was a difficult thing in my life, and I put my vitamin D spray in my skincare kit because I was committed to doing my skincare.
There you
And
go.
I used to put it by the coffee, but I didn't always drink coffee every day, but the skincare happened every day. So now the vitamin D happens every day. So I
Yep,
found when you add something to something you already do, you're
right.
more apt to add it on. And putting something out, like you also said, like I lay out my shoes and my workout clothes, day
Good
2,
job,
I put
yes.
them on. If I have to dig them out, I come up with all the excuses. But if
Right.
I put them out, they're waiting there, then the next step happens easier. So the system works.
Yeah, it really does. And this author has won awards. 15 million copies of this book have been sold. Now we're gonna actually put it to use. So, um, and that I think that's why the meditation works for me is like I wake up anyway, I check my phone anyway when I wake up. Why not make sure that I listen to a meditation on my phone anyway, right? So make it obvious, make it attractive. What was the third one? I'm gonna start memorizing it. Make it obvious, make it attractive, make it easy, and make it satisfying. So whatever new habit you're trying to do, we're going to put it right in front of us. We're going to make it attractive, we're going to make it easy, and we're going to make it satisfying. So let's just think about it, and we'll come back together next Monday and we'll share how the habit scorecard went for us. Remember, give yourself grace. Don't go beating yourself up. If you find a whole bunch of negatives on there, just pick one or two that you want to try to play with this week and attach a new habit that you want to do instead. And we'll go from there. Debbie is having surgery this week, and we are thinking about you. And if anybody needs anything, I am gonna please reach out to me. Let's let Debbie rest, okay? Debbie, tell your team, let you rest. Reach out to Melissa.
At least it's early in the morning on Wednesday, so I'll be back home by before noon.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, we love you. We care about you, and please
Thank
don't
you.
hesitate to send people away to me or other teammates that so you can rest after your surgery.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Good night,
Look at Teresa's like, no.
y'all. Teresa, you can text me, you can message me. All right. Night, y'all.
Thank you. Bye, you guys. Have a good rest of your week.
Good luck, Deb.
Thank you.